All right. Good good day, everybody. We are back again with another episode of Let's Talk About It. I am Michael Curtis, and once again, here with me is Mr. Jonathan Green of the Prairie Partner.
Hello, hello.
And today's topic, which I'm excited about because we always have these good debates, and then we kind of branch off a different topic off those previous debates. We're going to talk about certification for dance instructors. Is there a benefit? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it worthless? What is it? So let's go ahead and get started. Jonathan, what do you think? Certification.
All right. So yeah, this would be a good topic, right? I guess certifications can be good and bad. If you're being certified and what you're learning is good quality, and it's an intricate process that requires something as elaborate as certification, then that's fantastic. If you're offering certification for something that is not high quality, then I'm immediately going to be against it. So like, for example, and I mean, we're a young industry in ballroom. I get that, but especially in America. But the experiences that I've had with certifications have not been good. And I'm sure I'm biased, as everyone is. But for example, when I was, I don't know, I want to say maybe 8 years into dancing, I was out at a dance party somewhere, and when I walked in, I was saying hello to everybody that I knew, and as I was kind of talking with a group of people right around me, one person that I did not know kind of joined in the conversation and kind of interrupted everybody and says to me, what makes you think you have the right to teach ballroom dancing? And I responded, I don't remember exactly, it was something along the lines of, "Hi, I'm Jonathan Green. It's nice to meet you." But my point in bringing this situation up is that this person was using, so I was not certified. I'm still not certified. This person was using the fact that they were certified and I wasn't as grounds for them to be teaching and me not to be. Now, this person that is certified does not know how to exchange their weight in any senior properly. They can't even get through figures that I'm sure they passed in certifications. They can't even get through them. Like they can't make it around line of dance, okay? And not have to like make up some step or get out of position where you're not supposed to or something. I mean, it's just, there was such a wide gap between their experience and mine. Now, at the time I had been on the competitive floor, I was competing, I was a professional competitor and a pro-am competitor. So, and this is just one scenario. This is just one incident, but my experience with people who talk about how important it is to get certified is that generally the ones that are saying that are not people who I value their abilities or their knowledge of dance. And I don't say not value that at all. I'm just saying, like, in comparison to actually understanding what quality movement is, these people are lacking. That is my experience. So go ahead, everybody, whoever's listening, get your pitchforks, get your money, whatever it is, blah, blah, crown, sorry, the certification, if that situation can exist, the certification is failing. If a person like that, who is that, not just unskilled, but incorrect about what they're teaching and what they're trying to do, if they are able to get a certification, then this is a problem. And it devalues all of those people who actually do know something and are earning those certifications. So, but it's a fault of the certification itself. Like, if they were able to pass, what's going on? What's going on?
Oh, man.
I'm like, and I'm biased because I haven't been through the certifications, so I can't compare like which ones are good to which ones are bad, what it is. But I can tell you of many scenarios that would sound negative against probably each certification that's out there. I mean, even if you just look at the judging panel alone at competitions, again, get your pitchfork, folks. pitchforks, folks. It is lacking. It is lacking. And I'm not the only one saying it. All the talented dancers all of the knowledgeable and wise dancers and instructors are talking about it. Like, it's just, they're doing it behind closed doors, you know? We have to raise our own standards, big time, big time.
I like where you led off with that one. By the way, everybody, I will be leading a protest in front of Jonathan's studio. Meet me there. It'll take me about 2 hours to get there. So about, let's say 4:30, I can stop and get some McDonald's first, get fueled up. We'll bring our pitchforks and, you know, and torches and whatnot. You know what? I'm on the opposite side of it. I'm on the opposite side of it. But at the same time, there's some things I do agree with. And I just think it's almost like a half glass empty kind of thing you're looking at there, because you're taking like a couple bad apples and going, well, the certification process does not work. You know, just like saying like, you know, well, you know, kids nowadays aren't getting as many jobs as before, so degrees don't work. They kind of do, actually. When I think of a certification, I think of somebody that has a standard. Now, I kind of mentioned this back when we were doing our last conversation about dance, and we brought up certification. And I said that a degree, which basically a certification is a piece of paper, just like a degree is, it's a base. It says I have a base knowledge of something, which that's all knowledge is. Knowledge is passed down from experience. Somebody changes that experience, they add something on, it's updated, and we have where we are now. It's all experience. This work. There's theory, we test those theories out. So when you get a certification, you're showing that you have a base knowledge of those theories that have worked over the test of time, which Ballroom is no different. You have men that are very smart in, you know, mechanics, body mechanics, you know, anatomy, you know, numbers, mathematics, you know, whatever it is, that have said, well, this works. Now this technique works. This body movement works. Okay, these steps are working for us. Let's put this in there and let's build a curriculum up. So when I see someone that has taken the time to do a certification, I know in a sense what I'm getting. Now, to go back to your point, it ties into what I'm saying. It's just a base knowledge. The manual basically says, you know, here's the amount of turn, here's the foot position. It's up to me as a dancer to translate that out and then go get more coaching on it. Now, I've done both. So I've done the competing and I've also done the certification. And there was a missing link when I just tied in just let me look at the manual, because the manual was never meant to make a complete dancer. It was to give us knowledge of how to teach the steps. There's a difference.
Okay, so I'm going to jump in and say that I disagree with the fact that any degree shows that someone has knowledge of something. What a degree really shows that someone can make a commitment and finish their commitment. Now, and the reason I say that is because many people come out of college with a degree and don't know squat about what they're doing or what they learn in class. They just learn the information for a short time period to be able to pass tests.
That's not all of them, though. That's not all of them. See, that's what I mean. That's what bad apple
shows this, and it doesn't show that. What it does consistently show all the time is that someone made a commitment and finished it. It does not show that this person has a base knowledge of anything, really. It says that they should. I'll get with you on that, but it does not mean that they do. Absolutely not. And that's just clear. We see that in every industry. But in that regard, it is making a certification basically the equivalent of a college degree. Sure, that's fine. And that if I think about it like that, it does make it easier for me to not be as irritated on the subject, because that just means that people are failing in every industry, not just our own. But then it comes back to the same problem that I have with anything. I guess I just have a higher standard than everybody else does. If someone wants to go through the work to earn something that says they know how to do something or they've gone through this stuff, then they better know all of that stuff. And if they do know all of that stuff and they still can't solve the problems, then why are they going through the effort to get that degree or that certification of any kind? And too many times I've seen plenty of dancers not know the answers and they've been certified. So this is, and also keep in mind that things change. So if they're not constantly staying up to date, then yeah, they're going to be behind. And other thing I will say about what you said that I would probably disagree with is that we don't have it figured out. We don't have things that we've been doing since the beginning that have stuck around and will always stick around, that we know will always stick around. We really
always stick around. I said have worked. I said have worked.
Okay. But
you gotta get the paper, man. You gotta write down the quotes.
Sometimes we've changed what we've said in the past to believe that something is going to stick. The way you know something is going to stick is by constantly testing it. That's actually how science is done. You constantly put something through the test. I mean, if you do an experiment one time and you get a result, you don't say this is how it works. You run the experiment over and over.
That's what they call them theories. That's why they call them theories. In science, it's called a theory.
Those theories incorrect, and that's what makes it more and more.
Right. So the theory of dance has always been there, and it's kind of worked. But you got to think about the work.
Well, but people disagree on the theory of dance. That was a very broad statement clumped up into.
No, it's not really.
Theory of dance is out there that people
listen to what I'm saying
about. I don't know about this theory. What's going on?
You brought up science, okay? So hold on for a second. You brought up science and you brought up theory. Well, a theory, and the definition of a theory is something that has been tested and has worked, and someone has tested it to see if it worked. It doesn't mean that it's final, okay? So somebody can always come back. Einstein's theory is now being almost disproved.
That's my point.
But the point was, that's why it's called a theory. A theory, it's a theory. So if you're going to bring up science, be well versed with the terminology.
Use the same process that science does to prove things right or wrong, and that's all I was saying.
Yeah.
And
so we haven't figured it out.
Any theory to see.
Yeah, we haven't figured it out.
Fine. Yeah.
No one claimed to figure it out.
Basic point is that you line up, 20 instructors who have been certified, and we're going to be disappointed here.
Which 20?
A random 20.
That's a broad statement. That's a blanket statement. You just said don't do that. That's a blanket statement. If you don't have at least 20 people that you've actually tried out and said, yep, I've already tried it out, then you are basically throwing out.
I'm betting, if that makes you feel better, I'm betting that if you lined up 20 people that we're going to be disappointed.
Now, if we go back to the base knowledge thing.
Wouldn't that be fun? That'd be a fun.
Oh, I'm having a ball. It's Friday. Let's
if we lined up 20 people randomly and started quitting, no one would agree to this. The only people who would agree would be the ones that know.
I have 20 people. Please come in and. Well, I'm bringing 20 people to your studio. Remember, I'm coming to protest. So.
That's right. Yeah, whatever 20 are willing to protest against.
We'll line up.
Most likely, I'd be okay with putting them in that lineup of those 20.
I agree. You have a high standard, and here's the thing: I've been known to have a high standard, but also I have to understand that when I see somebody come out with a certification, whether it be they do ISTD, they do in DaVita, whichever site organization they do, I'm going to assume a certain thing. I'm assuming they know their steps, which you need to know your freaking steps. You need to know.
Assume that. You should assume that they made a commitment and finished it. That's
with a degree. If somebody has a degree, like I say, in computer science, I'm going to assume they know some basic knowledge. If I come in, no, that's fair because
it's nice. It's nice of you. Yeah, that's
no. That's what. And why do you think that corporate America, which has been here for longer than time, they ask for a degree? Because they know that when you come into an interview, hold on. If I ask you, to explain what a computer is, what does it do? You should be able to explain it because you have a degree in it. Now, if you came in and was like, "What's a computer?" That's a problem. Okay.
I mean, obviously it's a problem if they don't know a computer is.
Now,
we could go a little more than that, but yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying.
Right.
What I'm saying is that the majority of jobs, those people that are coming in for the interviews, cannot answer the questions, and that is why people have a hard time finding the right people for the job. Like if you talk to anyone who is involved in hiring in a, let's say, just any kind of consistent scenario. I'd be curious to hear what they had to say on this. because from my experience talking to those people, they can't find people who know their job, whether they have the degree or not. So, and
I would put it in
really
a
to think about it practically, how many people, if you have someone study and pass a test, how many of the people, if you ask them about the answers on that test a year later, are going to know the answers to that test?
That's okay. Let's
Just
put
a
a
practical thought. I'm not
no. You're right. Let's put a
acknowledging
pin in
what
that
is
one.
reality.
Let's put a pin in that one because I think that's a conversation on like continuing education. Like I think that's because you brought this point up.
Sure.
You brought you brought that point up
I
before.
just,
I want to talk about that. I want to talk about that one. But
okay.
I think what happens is it's kind of like when you see on a job description it says a college degree or equivalent experience. Here's the same thing about dance. I never got my degree, okay? But I just got another job in tech because I have the experience. That means I kept my knowledge up. Now, here's the people you're talking about. They went through rote memory, which is all a test is. It's rote memory of something I learned. I got into a book and I remember column after column after column. That's all it is. And then I passed it. Now, there are people that go, I've got my certification from 1998. I'm good, because there was nothing that says, hey, go back and continue educating yourself. Even the ones that get out there just now and get their certification, are they going to continue to educate themselves? I'm going to tell you, there is a big difference between, because you can't in a standardized book, in any standardized education, you're not going to be able to cover the gaps of knowledge. It's just a standardized education to get you to a base. Once you get to that base, I do recommend that people compete. I recommend you do everything in something in your craft, because you should know everything in your craft. Which means if you're going to be a ballroom dancer, go compete, try it out, because you may want to have somebody compete. And don't wait till like all of a sudden you get a student that goes, I want competition. You kind of fake it till you make it, okay? Try it all out. You want to be a dance instructor professional? Go compete. Get a certification. Do it all. Hone your craft. But I have a problem with it, and here's where my problem is. People on either side saying, well, I competed, I don't need to get my certification. Why not? Because I've questioned them people and said, can you tell me anything about a freaking twinkle? Well, no, that's incorrect, because you danced it.
I'm not saying that just because you compete on the competitive floor,
I'm saying it from my experience. I have heard that.
You are passing the test. I was not saying that at all.
No, I'm saying others have said it to me.
Okay.
Others have said it to me. I have had conversations of people that they just are against certification, and they're like, well, what do I need it for? I'm like, why wouldn't you try? Like, I don't get this whole thing about effort. Well, why wouldn't you want to hold something that says, hey, you know what? Because when students come in, they do care about a piece of paper. I'm sorry, that's the society we live in. If I have a piece of paper up saying, hey, look, I got this, not 1998, but I got this certification. They care about it.
I mean, there's not any value to it whatsoever.
Right.
It can be used as a badge by people who don't know what they're doing to bring down people who do. And that's something that can happen, then it's failing somewhere. And that needs to be kept from being able to happen. And it's as simple as making the test hard enough that it's actually, there's enough quality there that those people can't get through. So that's all I'm saying.
Which tests are they taking? Because honestly, from what I've heard, I haven't taken mine yet, but I have heard ISTD is a more difficult test.
I would believe that ISTD is
okay. So we can't throw them all in the basket and say, well,
I didn't. Yeah. In the beginning, I said I'm biased because I haven't tried them each and compared.
Yep.
One to
but them out because
my experience with certification, I see it being used as a badge to go around and yell at other people for not being certified, and I've only ever seen that happening when the person who is the person who's complaining is not qualified to be certifying people, or I mean to be complaining about anyone's dancing.
Yeah, I've honestly never you know me, I've got my viewpoints, but it's always kind of like an objective kind of like, well, let me hear what you're talking about, which that's conversation. I want to hear your side of things, and it may not sway me, but I may pick up pieces where I didn't think about that before. Mm-hmm. I've never said that because honestly, I've been on both sides of it. So I've got the certification, but I'm like, you know what? I need to know more. And then you start learning from competitive dancers. Well, yeah, it says that, but then the first thing I was taught by, like, David Butcher and, a lot of people that have been there, they're like, well, don't do a sidestep. The forward step would turn into a sidestep. That's not in the book.
Right.
But what I did was do a continuing education. Now, I think that's where it's missing right now, is we're in an industry that's not regulated. And we're one of the only few industries where it's like, well, you can be a ballroom. One day you're a plumber, and the next day, if you want to be a ballroom dancer, you can be a ballroom dancer, So, and then you have people that haven't had a test, and I keep using 1998, 2000, 2001,
Okay, but that test cannot be easy enough that someone can pay for their $70 professional fee and then the next day study real quick and pass the test.
Which that's not going to happen. I'm sorry.
Oh man, that is has happened. So has happened.
You're talking about off the street, and then they get the test.
I'm sure they have had some dance experience in some genre, but not the ballroom.
I knew what I was doing, and it took at least 3 to 6 months minimum to get to learn for the test. You're not going to.
Okay, I'm not going to throw anyone under the bus here, but
please don't. This is a family show.
I know of situations where people who had just started dancing, but a couple of weeks, as soon as they started dancing, their test was scheduled, and then I don't know, it could have been a month maybe before the test got there. I don't know for sure, but that's what I'm meaning by next day. Like that's okay. That's pretty
well. And to be fair, and to kind of explain that one, and the reason why I know a lot about it is because I worked with Diane Jarmelo on her ballroom dance teacher college school. I actually did it for a while, so I know a lot about the testing process and a lot about it. So I'm assuming that if it was a couple of weeks, they took a junior associate, which is not a couple. It's like the first couple steps and only a couple dances. So that can be done.
They're getting certified out in, the beginning level.
Right. It was the beginning level stuff. It's a junior associate.
Yeah, absolutely. It was. Yeah, it was dances, so, but
that is possible.
This person can't dance around the floor with someone doing it just because that they know what the answer is supposed to be doesn't mean they can use the answer or make it come to life in any way whatsoever. And very often they can't. Like, if someone can read me the answer, the book answer, but then not do what they just said, then I don't care if they know the answer or not. That's the wrong answer. Like the whole reason for the test is so you know the material. If you're able to take the test without knowing the material, then what's the point of the test? So that's and it just feels like, whoa, too many people know the material. And and also on your point from why aren't people who competed getting a certification? I mean, why not? Part of it is because there is, like, for example, like me, like basically I'm then backing up the system that tried to hold me back, like, too many times. That one story I told is not the only incident I've had where people were decrediting me because I didn't have a certification. Many times this has happened, and not once has any of them been close to even the skid mark on the underpants of society of my level of dancing. So there's those pitchforks back out there, and anybody who shows up better be ready to do a damn dance off right there, because I'm gonna make your ass look stupid, uncertified. So I wouldn't support a system that has tried to hold me back. Now, if there was a certification out there that I knew of that was doing it right, and I'm not against all certification. I'm not saying, oh, no one should ever get certified. Absolutely not. There needs to be order. I get that. But if you're creating order, you better damn do it right, or else I'll be right there to knock that shit down.
So this is more about the personal side of it than it is actually about the system itself, because what
it's
you
not
said,
a personal side. It's
because, can I quote back what you said? You said a system that's holding you back, but then you brought up that person again that mentioned something that sounds personal to me. That's not the system.
I can bring up personal
certification and do what you want with it. The certification itself is personal. I can get certified and never talk to anybody about it.
If I can't talk about my own personal experiences, then we're gonna be in a tough situation.
No. You can talk about it, but don't say it's the system when it's personal. That's two different things.
It's not. No, you're confusing it, because my problem, just because I have a problem with something and because I've been screwed by that something doesn't at all mean that anything I say is, you know, I'm losing the word. Is, you know, personal, sure, but no, I was saying is can be thrown out. It's biased. You know, it doesn't mean.
No. It's
I'm
not.
irritated because people are like, this is no different from like competition. It's a moral standard that I'm standing on here.
Okay, thank you.
It's if you're going to line people up in a row and point out to everybody in the room and say this person's better than someone else, then you better be ready to back that up and tell me and explain 100% why that person is better than someone else. It's no different from that type of scenario. If you're going to give these people a badge that allows them to go out there and hold themselves at this level, and then they're going to use that badge to decredit other people who have been through way more, then I'm going to knock that down for sure.
And that's the difference between
concerned about it more than I am. And if
that's
they wouldn't be handing out certifications to people that I've seen.
That's the difference between, like, we go back to the experience versus the degree part I was talking about earlier on, where they say degree or equivalent experience. Well, evidently you have the equivalent experience, okay?
Well, then your equivalent experience is shit because they have the equivalent experience.
No, I'm talking about you. You have the equivalent experience.
And they're just getting back to my original statement, which was we need to raise the standards. And I'm okay with that. If all we're saying here is that my standards are higher than everybody else's, fine. It's not the first time I've been told that and had to deal with just the world being the way it is. But it's still what's right and wrong. If I wouldn't be handing out certifications that did that. That's all I'm saying. I wouldn't hand out a certification that someone was able to abuse in that way. And so many. That's it.
I will partially agree with that.
Standards.
Yep, that's your moral standard. And just like opinions, your moral standard is your moral standard. No one can argue that moral standard. That's yours. That's yours to have. No one can speak on that story. To me, it's sounding like, you know, you're saying the certification made that person like a gun makes a killer. No, it doesn't. The mindset makes the killer. The gun is just a gun.
Oh, I'm all for taking away guns too.
All right, well, this isn't that subject.
Next episode.
I am so through with politics, man. Let's not go there. Let's not go there.
Pitchforks. Now I'm really getting them.
I am not going there, man. I am so not going there. But if any, I totally think I'm with you because honestly, like, here's my thing about both sides of the coin, certification or not. I think the two pieces go together. And when you have one faction that says it's about certification, the other faction says, nope, I know how to dance, I've competed, that's where we're missing the thing. It's because one side's taking one side, the other side's taking the other side. To me, I have no problem where I get the information from. And that's just me. I'm not saying it needs to be you. I don't care if this person was a year in, they may have taken a lesson from somebody I have never taken a lesson with and go, guess what I learned? I'm gonna sit there and go, tell me. I will never cut anybody off and go, well, I've learned this much and you need to learn this, or I'm a better dancer than you and blah, blah, blah. I would never do that to anybody because we've already got too much negativity in this industry. And for me to cut somebody down for anything, whether I'm better than you, whether I do dance better than you, whether I know more than you, whether you got it wrong and I'm watching your lesson and you're not really doing great in your lesson, I would never cut somebody down like that because we've already got enough negativity in this industry to live 100 lifetimes. So why do we need to do that? I find it on both sides it's wrong. Instead of listening to each other, what somebody did to you was wrong. But we can't turn that around and go, well, everybody or 20 people. We can't do that. We've got to still stand.
You're making it now seem like a personal. You're taking it.
It's not. I'm saying it's both sides. I'm saying it's both sides.
You're just making it seem like it's me complaining about a bad thing that happened to me, and I was only using it as an example to.
I actually said, well, this is my moral. Well, this is my moral standard. So you're sitting there saying yours, but you won't give me mine. That's not fair.
What is your moral standard?
I'm saying my moral standard is I think both sides are wrong because if I'm on this side and say I'm bigger than you because I'm certified, I'm wrong. If I'm on this,
I'm not saying what you're thinking.
I didn't say you. Let me finish. You're jumping on it because you're not listening to me. I said on one side, see, this now he's got me going. I said on one side, I said both sides are wrong. Objectively, both sides. I said the person that did it to you.
Gotta be right.
No. And that's the whole part about this whole.
If no one's right, then who do we gravitate towards?
Like I said, it's a whole piece of the puzzle. I think competitively,
right will be in the middle, like you're saying. Absolutely.
I think it should be yes.
But I'm in the middle, and I think that's what you don't understand. I'm not against certifications. I'm only for the ones that work. And for you to say that that means I'm against certifications is unfair. And I'm actually standing in the middle. And when you say it that way, you make it seem like I'm not standing in the middle, which is bad for people to see. People need to understand what the middle is. I'm not against or for certifications. I don't care. If it works, I'm for it. That's as neutral as you can be. We're saying the same thing. I'm just
What does it look like to you?
in the
What does that look like to you?
correct way.
What does that look like to you?
What's that?
What is a system? What does a certification that works look like to you?
That's a big question. For one, my point that I was making this whole time is that it would not allow people to get through it who don't know what I'm going to phrase it as is anything about dance. Like that would not happen with my certification. That's what I was saying before. That's the line I'm drawing. I mean, if you want to get into details about what that is, you gave a good example earlier. But even I can go even more beginner than that. Understanding what two steps can connect to one another so that they continue to travel line of dance.
Yeah.
That in itself. So they don't end up breaking a rule that they know is not allowed because they don't know how to continue moving their bodies correctly. They know it's not allowed, but they're still making the mistake because they don't know. They can give you the answer. What color is this? Red. Why is it red? What colors make red? What do you mean? It's red. It's just, so my system, if I was standing on a system saying, hey, if you can find this, you know what you're doing, I would be embarrassed.
Yeah.
If someone like that made it through my system.
I think to your point is correct. Can I rebut with this? There was you were mentioning, do they know the step that comes after, like a proceed and follow? That is actually covered in the exams. Okay, so all this
People make it.
So here's what I'm saying. So can some bad apples get through? Yes, because it's all just memory. It's all memory. That's really all it is. Once again, I haven't taken the ISTD, but I heard they ask a little bit harder questions. They'll look at you and go, okay, now explain this. And you have to explain it. From the DaVita tests I've taken, they've actually been pretty good. It does go from examiner to examiner. Some are easier and some have those ISTD backgrounds. They're like, you're not getting away with this. You said this, can you tell me this? So
yeah, I'm aware of some people who are, some examiners that are just harder than others, and people are like, oh no, we got this examiner, so you better know your stuff and things like that. So that makes sense. There's going to be there's going to be a human, we can't change the human effect of it. You know what I mean?
I think that's where we kind of we can agree on and kind of go, let's go with that avenue of it, because it is a human accountability. And just like you, Jonathan, and just like me, we're students of dance. We continue that process. But when you're talking about a whole industry of people, you're going to have a good percentage of them. Right. They just wanted to, either they don't care and they just got off the street and they're like, I got a job. Yeah, or they just I'm just going to get the certification because I'm just going to get it because I have to. But beyond that, I'm just going to do enough to get there. You're gonna always have that in every industry. I can name a few political ones too, but yeah, I think it's more of a human thing than it is the system. And yes, even in the system itself, I think there are examiners or ways they can make it tougher. I think a big addition to this, there needs to be continued education. There needs to be a requirement, even if you're not, because for instance, if you get an insurance license in Ohio, you may get it, you have to take a test as a baseline, but then within that 2-year process, you better get a certain amount of, just like being a teacher. Yeah. And
even a doctor. Doctors have to
exactly
test every year to make sure they're still studying, staying. Exactly. Anything. Yeah, you're right. There should be something along.
There should be something that we can.
There might be in some of them. I don't know.
The Vision came up with something. I don't know how big it is, but they did come up with a continuing education. But once again, there's no regulation. There's no one that's saying you have to do it. So what are you going to do? So that would be nice. Even if you don't do it, even if you become an instructor, you don't get certified in the beginning, there should be some fast track to getting certified or just getting the knowledge.
Mhm.
Like you're saying. So now we're open to like how to make the system better, because yeah, I do think that there are two kinds of teachers happening right now. The ones that just wanted to get the instruction and then not do anything with it and not expand on it. Well, I'm like, come on, be better. Or the ones that don't want to even try at all. They just walk into a studio like, we'll give you free training once a week, and that's all they do is that. Come on.
Sure, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, there's some human accountability to it. It's not a perfect system, but for me, I think it was just more of a fact of I just want to see people try to hone their craft. I just really do. Like I've seen the, and maybe it's not about certification. Maybe it's just like you're talking about. Maybe it's just being a better teacher and going, where can I get information? Oh, there's a workshop. Oh, someone's saying this. Oh, someone I never met before had a lesson with Maria.
Spend another hour after everyone's left the studio trying to think deeply
Exactly
about the issues that you're experiencing, or even just understand the issues that you're experiencing. Yeah. Acknowledge them. Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. That is a whole another area. And I agree. Being nice is definitely the best way to go.
It's not even about being nice. What I was saying about the middle is it's like politics and stuff like that. For me, as I watch people have conversations, they call them conversations about politics, and it's just me telling you what you should believe. That's what it ends up being. That's all it is. It's not a conversation. Even an argument or debate is I have a side. I'm going to talk about my side. You're going to talk about your side. And I'm going to get pieces from your side. But everybody goes into it like, you need to win. I'm certified, so you need to be certified too, because that's the only way.
I'm not going to listen to anything you have to say. You're supposed to listen to what I have to say.
Exactly. Then you've got people on the competitive side that think their stuff don't stink, but then you listen to some of the things they're saying, you're going, you didn't learn that already?
Oh, that's like one of the worst feelings in the world when you find out like you were expecting someone was just like smart and they know it and they blah, 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 and then they say something that's like, whoa. So I've been misreading you this entire time? How many other people in this room am I misreading? Like, and that's
yeah. And honestly, I would never, as a final note, one thing that was moral to me was it is personal to me. It's like, I know my limitations as far as a dancer goes. I feel like I'm a great teacher. I feel like I'm a good dancer, okay? But I would never let anybody talk down to me because as a teacher, I know my stuff. It doesn't mean physically, there's a lot of older dancers now that they can't do the stuff they did before. I would never say, well, I'm better than you because I'm more flexible. That makes no sense. So I would never look at somebody's like ability. I would take them both in
actions. That's different. You can get through your basic actions. That's different. I'm not saying you are.
No. I'm just saying I'm talking about my own personal side, my own kind of moral standard on it. As the,
for everybody else out there, it's because he can do the actions.
Well, I needed that boost. Thank you. I was fishing for a compliment and I got it.
Furthermore, reinforcing the fact that you've studied and you do the work to figure out the issues you run into.
Yeah.
And you have done so for a long time. And I'm not saying that everybody has to go at the pace that you or I go, or any. There's a certain pace you got to go. It's got to be if you're gonna hold yourself at the standard of being a professional. I would like to see a certain pace being met as far as your education and your study of dance and your improvement. If someone is not improving for many years, then I would have a hard time listening to that person in a conversation.
Yeah, I get that. I definitely think, as a final point for me, is I definitely think there should be some kind of a testing process. Whether you want to call it certification, whatever you want to call it. I think there should be some kind of fast track that if you started at a studio, you've got 6 months to be able to pass this test.
Right. Some kind of standard
test where it's, high quality. Can you explain the actions, the whole nine, not just where's the foot go? And it'd be a little bit more extensive. I think there should be some kind of fast track. There's too many instructors going around here uncertain without any kind of a thing as a studio owner. And how do we know, what standard they're holding it to? Yeah. Well, you're pretty, so all right, cool. So, so
For real, that is so real. Okay.
and there has been a lot of bad taste that's left in students' mouths when and I've heard it. Well, I'm watching that person dance. Why doesn't my teacher look like that? You hear?
That's a whole other. Yeah, that's a whole nother area. But okay.
It's the same thing. It's just knowing your stuff. Knowing your stuff and being able to.
How long has your teacher looked like that? That's an important question to follow that up with. Because if your teacher's learning and they're new, that's one thing. But if your teacher
right.
in the industry and is still looking like they did 8 years ago, then that like they did 5 years ago or 2 years ago, then that's an issue. Like if they don't look different today than yesterday, then I'm just kidding.
So I guess through this conversation, I'm definitely hearing what you're saying, and there is good. I think the certification process itself can be a little bit better. Like I said, I haven't taken ICD. I've heard great things about it. My DaVita tests were pretty good. They did make it a little bit easier, but they're really developing theirs. They're still kind of like fresh developing theirs more and more and more. So I can't speak bad on that either. Love it. I think something's essential, but I also see the point that it can be an experience thing. Honestly, it's about the students. Are you giving them their proper due when you're charging as much as you're charging, and you're charging the same thing for you as the person that just came in like 2-3 weeks ago? That's a problem for me. That's just, that's a problem for me. I need to know, I want there to be a standard of dancing, because honestly, the greater percentage of people that are getting bad experiences with instructors that aren't honing their craft, it makes the rest of the industry look bad.
Sure. Absolutely.
So yes, I do want there to be some accountability to people coming in, and it's not just, well, yeah, let me just, I'll be a ballroom instructor today. All right, we got to go through some things.
Yeah, right. Not like, yay, thanks for joining.
Now, is it needed? That's the last question. Is it needed? As a standard of teaching, yes. But do I need it for like anything else? If I want to be an adjudicator, I have to be.
Yeah, it's needed. It's going to get organized. I mean, if the industry is going to get organized, it is needed.
Yeah, that's the one thing you needed. If you want to be an examiner for an organization, you need a certification. If you want to be an adjudicator to comp, you need a certification.
Right. I get what you're saying. Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? You need it. You can't do it without it. Right. So, I mean, if you're on here, you're thinking about, if you're thinking about being a professional, just know that at that point you're going to need that one. But do I need it as a standard, as a moral standard to excellence? Yes, I say we need testing. And we need it every so often after you get through the first one.
Industry, I believe, for growth, we need testing. But okay, so there we go. Everybody stretch it out.
So normally, if this wasn't COVID, we probably we would argue, and then we would go have a beer. No.
Ooh, that beer sounds good. Well, thanks for joining us, everybody. As always, we appreciate it. If you have any opinions, please share them. That's what this is all about. Michael, always a pleasure.
Jonathan, sir, always a pleasure.
We'll see you guys all next week.
All righty.
So, talk about it.